my Belfast Thousand Nation? How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, you've had a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. Alright, we are back with another, that's right, Coffeehouse Crime. And I'm excited for this story. I want to get into her. So the name of this one is The Camgirl Who Became a Murderer, the case of Melissa Turner. Alright, let's go ahead and get into today's story. Like I said, I'm excited. I want to see what happens. I want to know who died. Let's go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and turn them lights down low. Put on something comfy, cuddle up with someone special. Let's get sad. Coffeehouse Crime, it always makes me sad. It's like, oh, why? Yeah. Let's get started. Let's do it. I'm in.
Melissa Turner was a famous cosplayer and camgirl who found great success after recovering from a place she called rock bottom. But following the thoughtless and cold-hearted actions, which occurred shortly before Halloween of 2019, her lustful notoriety would turn into a reputation of anger and evilness. What exactly happened to Toothorn Rose? Who was her victim? And what were the consequences behind her actions? Welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime. My name is Adrian, and in this video we're going to look at the internet-based case of Toothorn Rose, also known as Melissa Turner. Just to let you know, I post solved, unsolved, and strange cases here on a weekly basis, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, please consider subscribing to Coffeehouse Crime.
Go do it.
So, you know the drill by now. Grab a coffee, pull up a seat, and sit back. This is the case of Melissa Turner.
And yes, I have a lot. For some reason, no one ever gets me a coffee cup unless it's Christmas. I don't know why. Anyone else out there like that? Like every coffee cup I have, except for one. I have one coffee cup that's not Christmas and it's Iron Man. But it's freaking huge. I love it for when we make cappuccinos and stuff. But for actual coffee, it's not my favorite cup because we're so big. Half the time I only get halfway through the cup and then it's like, it's cold. And yes, you could throw it in the microwave, but no.
Grab your sunscreen and your favourite pair of flip-flops. Today's video pulls us down south to the humid swamps of Florida. Okay, maybe not directly into the swamps, but close enough to find alligators as a regular occurrence. We're diving into the area of Tampa Bay, found on the west coast of Sunshine State. Here you'll find a wide selection of theme parks, miles upon miles of golden beaches, and a population of around 3 million people.
Damn Legoland! 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 Everybody chant with me. Legoland!
If you're into humid weather, sandy beaches, or an abnormal level of craziness, then Tampa Bay has you covered. And this case very much lives up to that reputation.
Yes, I am a giant freaking child, okay? My leg gets onto me all the time. I'm a bigger kid than the kids. I can't help that. I like to have fun. I'm sorry. I'm a child. I don't mean it. I do. It don't bother me a bit.
It's here in Tampa Bay that we find Melissa Rose Turner. Born on November the 25th, 1992, Melissa was a 90s baby, young enough to remember what life was like without the internet.
That's the problem. She's a 90s baby. I'm an 80s baby.
But only just. Growing up in Florida, Melissa was your general run-of-the-mill girl. She had a generally comfortable upbringing, enjoyed films like Baywatch and Evil Dead 2, had a knack for horror films, and was into all kinds of fantasy. For Melissa, there was one area of great sorrow, and to her that was her weight. In her late teens, she had topped 250 pounds, or 114 kilograms. And unfortunately, this knocked her self-confidence. Not only that, but it also prevented Melissa from...
Hey, I know that. I know that. I was a big boy. Y'all can go back and watch some of those videos. You can tell I was a big boy. Just within the past 6 months, I've lost a drastic amount of weight. And that's not because I'm sick. I promise you all that. Just I am a lot more health conscious now. There's been some issues with my health. Yeah. So I had to change my diet. I work out regularly now, so I know what it's like to be a big boy. I imagine it's no different when you're a big girl. But just to let you all know, I personally do not think that there is a problem with being a little bigger. Now, there is that point to where, like you so big you can't wipe your own booty. And I don't even have a problem with that. As long as you're comfortable, you're comfortable. But then you get into some really drastic health problems. Heck, I was 348 pounds. I can do everything I could do now. I mean, I didn't get around no differently. I couldn't run as far, but I get that. Like, you notice the little things that you would do when you were smaller, you just don't do no more. Like, I would never take my shirt off, not even my own house. I just felt uncomfortable, like everyone was judging. So I do understand that, on a personal level. But now that I'm smaller, I mean, I'm still not comfortable taking off my shirt where I've lost so much weight. I have. It's weird.
Doing things she wanted to do, like cosplaying. For those unaware, cosplaying is an activity and performance art in which people wear costumes and fashion accessories to represent a fictional character.
Yep.
By the age of 18, Melissa was miserable with her life, and this was for several
We've all been to Comic-Con. If not, you need to go. Comic-Con's amazing.
reasons.
And cosplay is amazing for people who don't feel comfortable in their own body because they can be someone else as well. So, I mean, just because you think it's corny to someone else, it might be something that's keeping them copacetic,
Although she had graduated with an associate's degree in small business, she unfortunately had no job to show for it. So in addition to her weight problems, she was over $26,000 in student loan debt. She was depressed in almost every aspect of her life. It was in this moment that Melissa finally decided she was going to do something about it. It was time to find her courage and act against her problems. Melissa underwent a huge change to her diet and her lifestyle. She started reading up on blogs, forums, and articles to better understand health and nutrition. And throughout all of this, she went through an incredible change in body weight, going from 250 pounds in 2011 all the way down to 160 pounds in 2013.
Heck yeah. Props. Like, why? She's a murderer. Why am I congratulating her? He does this every time. Now I feel bad for the murderer. It makes... Why?
Losing 90 pounds had a very distinct physical difference, but the most important aspect out of all of this is she started to love herself again and feel happy. It was in the year of 2013 that Melissa became close with a man who went by the online name of Sin. Eventually, the two hooked up and got together, therefore formally beginning Melissa's first serious relationship. Melissa also became a professionally trained special effects and makeup artist, and she also began to dress up or cosplay as her favourite characters. It is safe to say that as Melissa became more lean, and her horror cosplay more mean, online comments over her appearance started to rocket, and this of course led to a substantial increase in her confidence. Body positivity is an important thing, regardless of your weight, height or shape, but Melissa's confidence seems to rocket way.
Yes, by all means. Be comfortable with who you are, even if you're a bigger person, smaller person, shorter, taller, as long as you are comfortable with you, hey, more power to you, okay? 100%. Like I said, the only reason why I changed my diet and my weight was literally like I started having real bad chest pains all the time. I end up getting diabetes, type 2 diabetes. It's under control now where I've lost so much weight. I have lost 200 pounds. I am down to 145, 150, depending on if, I've ate a lot that day or not. But sometimes the food I cook is just good. And I'm like, and my inner fat boy comes out and I'm like, yeah. And that's still something I'm working on. But hey, most definitely, yah sisterhood and all that good stuff. Look, don't ever be uncomfortable with who you are. unless you, and don't ever change who you are unless it is something you want to do. Don't let other people dictate your life for you. That's no way to live. All right. This is our advice from Bill 5000 for the day.
Past the usual trajectory, and you'll find out why in just a minute. As the year 2014 rolled around, many things had changed in Melissa's life. She had a new body, a boyfriend, and many new friends. And while attending the parties of one of these new friends, she met up with a woman who happened to be a camgirl. It was right here that Melissa learned of the world of online adult entertainment.
Never mind. I was about to ask, now, what do they mean by online camgirl? Like, is that like is that things like OnlyFans and Just for Fans and stuff like that? I mean, that is what they're talking about, like online adult site type deals, right? Okay. So, she one of them people. No disrespect in any way, shape, or form. Hey, you make your money the way you gotta make your money. World's a tricky place to be in right now.
And of course, the money behind it. Melissa was already used to a lot of attention from cosplaying, but becoming a camgirl was a whole other kettle of fish. It's kind of like cosplaying, but without the clothes. Despite this, it didn't take Melissa long to...
Holy shit! He just made it amazing funny! Oh, that's the first time I've heard him make a funny. Oh, damn.
...consider it. And in fact, she got to work on becoming a camgirl the very next day. After all, her part-time jobs at Great American Cookies and Hargenders weren't getting her anywhere. And to add to this, she had huge amounts of fresh confidence with her body. From here on out, Melissa adopted the online username of Two-Thorned Rose. Her new venture developed slowly yet surely, and after establishing herself through the first couple of years, she eventually made enough money to support herself. Becoming a camgirl is one of those strange new careers generated by the internet. Although it doesn't necessarily have to be an erotic experience, the general definition leans towards webcam models performing those kinds of actions online in exchange for money, goods, or attention. Melissa found great opportunity in this, and the growth of her channels proved it. But after a while... performing those kinds of actions online in exchange for money, goods, or attention. Melissa found great opportunity...
Camgirl, deep throat queen. I'm the girl that swallowed the tenant. What the? Why would you be proud of that? I mean, props. Okay, but what? Oh my god. Oh shit.
This, and the growth of her channels proved it. But after a while, as she grew older, this kind of venture began to slow down.
Do you guys see what we get when you let me pick the videos? This is your guys' fault. I'm just letting you know.
While younger models took the spotlight, Melissa therefore decided to try something new.
I am Two-Thorned Rose, you can call me Rose. I'm a cam model, I'm an artist, I love fitness. I like making videos about that and about my art and just about my daily life. And my channel over on YouTube where I was doing all of that stuff got deleted. I just want a place where I can post my videos, where I can talk about my life, where I can show my artwork, my cosplays, and I'm hoping Twitch is gonna be my new home and that I'm not gonna get deleted on here.
Transitioning to become an independent camgirl, she started to create her own themed adult films for money. A lot of these films were focused around cosplay or horror, as, again, Melissa had a distinct affinity for all things...
Whoa, I didn't even see that. That's some creepy shit, bro.
...spooky and horrific. Her independent website, twothornedrose.com, immediately started to grow. She began to feature herself on various online platforms, and she even launched her own Patreon page. All of these sources of revenue, ultimately leading to earning thousands of dollars per month. General disclaimer here, but do not look for her name on Google. And I'm being serious, don't. You'll find way more than you'd bargained for. I often scour the internet to find media for these videos, and...
He really shouldn't have told me twice not to do it. Now I've got to do it. Son of a...
And there was a huge amount of content for this one. Just not much I could use on YouTube. Anyway, Melissa's online business did very well for a while, and in 2016, both her and her boyfriend Sin decided to expand her career through entrepreneurial means. While together, they opened their own home studio where other models could come over and use their equipment for photo shoots, all at the price of a small fee. Doing this seemed to be genius. The couple seemed to create a small money-making machine in their very own home. But over time, it appeared that all of this work slowly found its way onto Melissa.
That man was living the dream. Shit. Oh yeah, come on over. You can use our equipment. You can get your rocks. What the fuck?
Shoulders. Coupling this with frequent arguments and even allegations of abuse, Melissa and Sin eventually broke up, and as a result their business collapsed, this leaving Melissa to fend for herself. Which probably wasn't the best of moments, as in March of 2017, Melissa would go through 2 surgical operations, a corset trunkplasty and a thigh lift and tuck. Where one flower dies, another will bloom, and in the vacancy left behind Sin's departure arrived another man. It was in the summer of 2017 that Melissa Turner would meet and fall in love with Matthew Trussler. Born on January the 11th, 1994, Matthew grew up in Hopkinton, Massachusetts. A very different world when compared to the humid state of Florida. 30 miles west of Boston, Hopkinton is a small town found in the leafy middle of nowhere. With a population of roughly 18,000 people, there's not much to talk about. But focusing on Matthew, he was described as a fun-loving and hard-working guy. Matthew had a strong bond with his friends, and even more so with his family. And what's notable throughout all of his photos is that he was a man who heavily cared for other animals. This guy seriously loved his cats and dogs. He studied down the road at Westfield State University, and after graduating, he worked his way up a couple positions to become a general manager at a local Italian restaurant. Things were going relatively well for Matthew, but let's be honest, as a young man with qualifications, it's understandable to learn that he had bigger dreams. By the year of 2015, Matthew had had enough. With his brother Sean already living in Florida, he made the move to Tampa Bay. This allowed him to spend more time with his brother, and it also exposed him to more lucrative and exciting jobs. This led him to finding a new job at a technology company called Lantern Energy. And soon after this, he found a new job at Elite Foam, a company which specializes in insulating residential housing. And of course, to bring Matthew into this story, he then met Melissa. By Christmas of 2018, Matthew and Melissa seemed to be in one of the most exciting moments of their lives. Not only had the two been dating for quite some time, but their jobs were going relatively well too, and Matthew even managed to appear in several of Melissa's videos. Following an apparently healthy start to their relationship, the two combined forces and purchased a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom house on White Barn Way in Riverview, Florida, which, considering their age, was a great achievement. They had everything they needed to flourish as a young couple. Located in the desirable community of Boyette Farms, the house had 4 bedrooms, a garage, a garden, and even a fenced-off pool. To accompany the home, they had 4 cats and 1 very cute puppy named Lanta. On January 11th, 2019,
Look at the puppy!
Matthew's 25th birthday, he posted to Facebook to express his gratitude towards life. A quarter century later, I've got a mortgage, a pup, 4 fur babies, and a wonderful girl. I am a happy man. I've also realised that I'm getting older, because instead of sleeping in, my ass woke up at 6:30 without an alarm. Social media seemed to portray the perfect couple, or at least for the most part. Following the breakup with her previous boyfriend Sin, he had allegedly grown jealous of the pair, and apparently he had even threatened them by pulling a gun to Matthew. Nevertheless, Melissa and Matthew appeared to be happy online. In September of 2018, Melissa posted to say that her relationship with Matthew was amazing, and that she was still as happy as she was at the very beginning. In short, statements expressing their happiness with each other was evident on both sides of the relationship, a detail that will become very important later in the story. This doesn't mean their relationship was perfect. Apparently the couple often argued, and Matthew seemed to be isolating himself from his friends and his family. His brother Sean also described their relationship as toxic, and the neighbours on White Barn Way often experienced the two shouting at each other quite frequently. At the end of the day, there is no absolute evidence to confirm the ongoings of their relationship, but from what we know, there were issues despite their happy online facade. However, saying that, Matthew's Facebook profile seemed to eventually take a new direction. On September the 23rd, 2019, Matthew posted to say, "Don't be a fool and blame others. Fight your own war." His relationship status on Facebook also appeared to be single. This is despite him previously outwardly expressing his love. This post could have had nothing to do with Melissa, and perhaps maybe he always had his relationship status marked as single. Truth be told, we will never know. However, not even 1 month later, Matthew, he would be dead.
Matthew! He just got a mortgage, and a puppy, and 4 fur babies, and all kinds of other shit. Aw, now I feel bad for him.
911, what is your emergency?
911. I woke up on my boyfriend. He was outside this morning. He's cold. He was just drinking. He's cold.
The address of the emergency. Hello?
I need paramedic.
The date was October the 18th, 2019, and the time 8:45 AM. Police officers were responding to a distressing phone call made from one of the properties on White Barn Way. Melissa had called emergency services for help. Her boyfriend, Matthew Trussler, had been fatally attacked. Running across the front of the Turner Trussler residence, Halloween decorations were propped all over the front of the house. But after turning into the back garden, the atmosphere of decorative horror would drastically change into an absolute horror. Melissa had apparently found her boyfriend dead on the patio, and after screaming and scrambling to perform CPR, it yielded no response. She apparently had found him in this state and had no idea what happened to him. And sadly, medical intervention did nothing to save his life. Matthew Trussler was pronounced dead at the scene. It was clear to officers and paramedics responding to the scene that Matthew had been dead for quite some time. He appeared colourless, and rigor mortis seemed to have set in. What else was obvious is that Matthew had been savagely attacked. He had a deep wound found in the middle of his back, with several punctures and lacerations. He also appeared to have defensive wounds across his arms. Melissa was devastated. She appeared to be traumatised and in deep shock. This was a total surprise for her. Or was it? You see, while at the scene,
Was it?
Melissa initially stated to officers that she found Matthew dead in the garden, but after being taken down to the local police station for questioning, her story changed.
Dum-dum. If you want to kill someone, at least stick with the same story. Write it down like 100 times, but that way you got memorized. If you want to be brave enough to kill someone, stupid enough to kill someone, irresponsible enough to kill someone, at least be responsible enough not to get yourself caught up over a lie. Am I wrong? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think you should get, but if you are going to, don't get yourself caught up because you couldn't remember what you told someone. Memorize that shit.
Finding Matthew outside was a lie, she said. The new story was that Matthew was out drinking all night, and returned home in the early morning hours of October the 18th drunk. This upset Melissa, which in return upset Matthew. He apparently began to assault her, had hit her several times, and then, in a sudden escalation of events, he lunged at her with a kitchen knife. She apparently grabbed at the knife and managed to regain control, resulting in this injury to her hand. Matthew then allegedly began to strangle Melissa after throwing her to the ground. And according to her, in an act purely out of self-defense, Melissa then plunged the knife into Matthew's back. This new account of events was concerning to officers. Despite Melissa lying, her new statement didn't check out the evidence quite literally lying in front of them. Matthew had several wounds across his body, and many of these wounds appeared to be self-defensive. And that injury on her hand, it was consistent with a laceration of a rearward direction, as if she were holding the knife. As Melissa's interview was being conducted, officers back at the scene were searching for incriminating evidence. This included items left at the scene, and collecting witness reports and surveillance footage. This is where new smart technology played a vital role in this case. One of the officers, named Ryan Lagasse, noticed a Nest camera in one of the nearby properties. This Nest home surveillance camera was perfectly positioned next to the front door of one of the adjacent homes. And very conveniently, it was pointed in the direction towards the patio of the residence. Unfortunately, Melissa's and Matthew's own fence prevented any visual confirmation of the surveillance footage. And if the fence were not there, then Matthew's body would have been visible on the camera. However, not all was lost. The camera did a great job of recording audio footage during the altercation. And although unfortunately the recording isn't available, we do have the full transcript. At about 4:32 AM, Melissa can be heard saying, "You stay." 1 minute later, glass can be heard shattering. And 45 seconds after that, she then says, "Damn it." This is followed by her saying, "I hate you." And 30 seconds after this, she shouts, "Get up," several times. At 4:37 AM, there's a noise of something smashing, followed by screams and Melissa shouting, "Wake up." She then changes the tone and says, "So arrogant, I hate you." At 4:39 AM, Melissa is then heard repeatedly saying, "Go fuck yourself," before saying, "Let's go." 3 minutes later, she can then be heard shouting, "Fuck you," before additional noises to the sound of items breaking were heard. Matthew's voice was recognised at this point in the footage, but it's not clear what he'd said. At 4:44 AM, 12 minutes since the argument began, additional scuffles can be heard, including Melissa shouting, "No." And finally, 1 minute later, she says, "What did I do?" Matthew's smartwatch was consistent with the surveillance footage. According to the report, it stopped detecting his heartbeat just minutes later. With Melissa's change in story, the surveillance footage and the evidence before them, it became very clear that Melissa had killed her boyfriend. However, what was now up for debate was whether it was self-defense or cold-blooded murder. That small additional detail, that Melissa waited 4 hours before calling emergency services, showed very callous intention, and as such, she was formally arrested for the suspicion of murdering Matthew Tressler.
Dang. See, he does it to me every time. Like, I always start off feeling bad for the murderer. And now I feel bad for feeling bad for the murderer, and I feel even worse because the person who was murdered by the person I felt bad for. That got really confusing, sorry. Yeah.
The legal proceedings of this case were fairly dry. Melissa would go on to claim that she was innocent, and even accepted to be interviewed by the news channel WFLA. But Melissa would still make many mistakes behind bars, as while on call to relatives, she bragged of all the money that she still had from her modelling career. This actually angered prosecutors. It began a debate on whether Melissa should be wasting taxpayers' money on a public attorney, or in fact should be paying for her own private one. Shortly before her trial, Melissa was initially offered a sentence of 25 years if she pleaded guilty to the murder of Matthew Tressler. She, however, declined this offer and instead countered this with an offer of 5 years. With such a contrast between sentences, no agreement was made, and instead Melissa's trial therefore began. In court, Melissa's attorney did her very best to convince the jury that Matthew was an abusive partner and that she was merely acting out of self-defense. Apparently, she had killed him out of genuine fear for her own life. This was particularly frustrating for Matthew's family. Going through the trauma of losing their son, likely discovering his nude photos through her social media posts, and then hearing that he was allegedly abusive towards her, must have been extremely taxing on their hearts and minds. Fortunately, the jury saw through Melissa's lies. They didn't believe Matthew was an abusive partner, and they ruled that most of Matthew's wounds did not correlate with Melissa's account of events. For example, the wound on his right forearm had occurred in a defensive manner. This could have been in a position where his forearms were raised to protect his chest and face. The Nest Cam recording and smartwatch proved to be crucial pieces of evidence to this case, as together they helped demonstrate the time and manner in which Matthew was killed. It was also noted in court that Melissa had waited a total of 4 hours after Matthew was violently attacked before eventually calling for paramedics and police. This revealed a killer who wanted to see her victim dead, not a partner who was caught up in.
Or maybe she was in shock. I mean, okay, I'm just going to be a little bit of devil's advocate here. Okay, what if they dig into here? Sometimes you gotta smack it around a little bit so it listens to. All right, maybe people behind closed doors. You have a whole other side of people sometimes. My grandma used to say that saying all the time. They're a whole different person when you get behind closed doors. Maybe that's how it was. Maybe, he was like one of those really amazing people out in the public and, excuse me. And behind closed doors, maybe he was a tidbit of an ass. We don't know. We will never know for sure. We didn't live The only two people that's actually going to know for sure is him and her. He's dead, and she could be lying about every damn thing there is. So I'm not taking on one side. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Okay, what if like an argument did take place? I mean, you could obviously hear parts of the argument. For some reason, I guess we didn't get his side of everything. He only mentions like him talking like once. Maybe it didn't pick it up or whatever. But maybe, you know, he was abusive. Maybe she was abusive. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just saying. Maybe it could have been an accident of sorts and she was just in shock. Like they got into an argument. He went to do something and maybe she pushed him and he might have fell on some glass and punctured herself. Or, you know, maybe she thought he was going to come at her and, you know, she. We don't know. But that's the one thing. Unless you get a confession, you will never really truly know what for sure happened ever. And even then, sometimes when you get confessions, y'all, they could just be confessing something. We watched a video on here one time. I believe it was, I think it was a Mr. Ballin story where this man, a man was like bought an apartment. He was renovating his closet and, you know, he found a room or whatever. But basically, long story short, the guy wasn't, the story that it was about was the guy wasn't very well educated. I think he dropped out of school like real early or something. And he had like TB on his foot. Y'all know the one I'm talking about. If you watch this channel, you know the one I'm talking about. We did not too long ago. But he didn't have a very good education. The wife didn't have a very good education. They had a baby. They moved into an apartment in a really crappy part of town. And his wife got pregnant again, and one of their neighbors was like, hey, I can help you with that. I know how to, abort a baby. And he took his wife there, and, you know, he's like, okay, you definitely don't want to be here for this. He's like, that's not something you want to see and all this other stuff. And he ended up killing the wife and the baby because he was a murderer. Like, not because it was an accident, but literally because he was a murderer. And the guy pled guilty to it and was actually sentenced to death, even though he didn't do it because he didn't understand that it wasn't his fault. So, I mean, just because someone confesses, we still don't always know the full story. But that was just me playing devil's advocate. And then again, she could have just been a crazy hooker that just, you know, went psycho. I mean, look at that eye. That's a crazy eye. She got some crazy eyes. So, see, that's why I like Coffeehouse Crime. Like, he leaves you like, by the time I'm done watching this video, it's like I'm going to need another pot of coffee after this so I can just stay up late and do some research. Like, and yes, and if you ever hear me say that, no, I do not do other things other than this. I'm not researching for anything else. It's just I like information. I really do, and I just think there might be more to it than what we'll ever know. I mean, like I said, he could have been a completely different person behind closed doors. You have that in certain situations. I'm sure y'all know what I'm talking about. She could have been completely different behind closed doors. What's the Minority Report where, you know, they see the crime before it happens? Even then you didn't know because I'm pretty sure even that it was a fake crime that Tom Cruise was trying to figure out. So see, there's no way around it. Yes, I love movies. I make a lot of movie references, and I'm sorry.
A moment. The jurors were given the choice of convicting Melissa of second-degree murder, manslaughter, aggravated activation, or alternatively returning a not guilty verdict. And with the evidence provided, they would need to choose wisely. They would finally agree on the charge of second-degree murder, and as a result, Melissa Turner was officially found guilty for the murder of Matthew Trusler in the second degree. The crime of second-degree murder is a first-degree felony in Florida and punishable by up to life in prison. She was therefore lucky to only be sentenced to 20 years and 6 months behind bars.
It's still better than that 25 years they came out with, though. I'm sorry.
She will be released back into the everyday world in 2040. As we all know, Matthew's outcome is much more permanent.
Yeah.
His life has been cut drastically short by the person he loved and trusted the most. There was no evidence to suggest Matthew was a risk to Melissa, nor that he was ever abusive towards his partner. But what is evident is that Matthew had a lot of love to give to those around him. He constantly spoke about protecting those in his home, humans and animals. It's a real shame that one of them in particular would do the exact opposite to him. Matthew has left a huge hole in the hearts of his family and friends. This case is very interesting. It brings the attention to the other side of domestic violence, the side that we often don't talk about or see in the media. Although women are much more likely to be victims of domestic violence, cases of male victims are often brushed off or ignored. Her sentence didn't make much sense to me either. Melissa rejected a 25-year plea deal, went to trial, was found guilty, and then received 20 years behind bars, which was less than the plea deal itself. But regardless, I don't think Melissa will be modelling for quite some time. Thank you so much for watching another video.
Hey, man's right though. You really don't ever hear about the other half. Well, not very often anyways. And I'm sorry, ladies, but some of y'all can be mean. Like, my old lady, she's like 5'2". Like, she scares the shit out of me, bro. Like, she sweetest lady you'll ever meet. Until she gets that crazy eye going. Then you're like, deer in the headlights look. Oh, I fucked up. Honey, I'm sorry. Please don't watch this video. This is... I'm sorry. No, she knows what I mean. Like, she does. She scares the living shit out of me because she gets some crazy eyes. I've never been beat. Ever. There's no one pointing a gun to my head to say that either. I've never been beat. I've none of that. But, like, she's 5'0" and she scares the shit out of me. So, I mean, my mom's like 5'0". I don't know. I was bit by like a really, really little dog when I was little. I think I'm just traumatized over smaller things. Like, sorry, man. I'm going to get my ass kicked when I get off of here. Oh God, nah. She is a lovely lady. She is, but I mean, I wouldn't never cross her. I've seen her jump out on people. No, hell no. My mommy's the same way. I ain't crossing her either. I've seen her jump out on people. You got me fucked up, bro. I don't want that shit. No, I have seen them both rain down hell upon people, and not I, sir. I will not be that guy. Nope. But you really don't ever hear too much of the men being the victim. We're men. We shouldn't be, you know? And that, I get it. From the time you're little to the time you die, you're taught, you know. I know I was, when I was being raised up, men don't cry. Men aren't supposed to show emotion. The only emotions you should have is angry, horny, and hungry. But men break too sometimes. And I women, ladies out there, mad respect for all of y'all. Y'all are amazing people. You are. You guys can do things that most men can't do. Y'all can give birth, you can breastfeed, everything like that. You guys are magical beings. You guys can create life inside of you. The only thing I create inside of me is a mess. And it ain't cute when it comes out. So, mad respect to you ladies. I'm not doubting any single one of y'all. Like I said, I'm scared of death of women. No, I don't fucks with them. I've seen women jump out. I ain't raising my hand to one because no, that's not what you're supposed to do. I was always taught, like, even if your lady's beating the living crap out of you, my dad always told me you should be strong enough to be able to be like, no, and set her aside and run, or restrain and call the police, or you should never lay your hands on a woman. That's just how I was raised, ever, for any reason whatsoever. They bring life in this world, they can take life out of this world. I don't fuck with nothing that can take a life out of this world. You know how many times my mama told me she's gonna put me back where she got me? That scares the shit out of me, but that's just my opinion. And like I said, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and they all smell bad. All right. So that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did, because I like that. That was pretty good. Please hit that thumbs up. If you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, deranged, or things that just make you feel bad for people that murder other people until you realize what is actually going on, then you're like, son of a bitch, why do I feel bad for that person and their murder? Just subscribe, because that's what I do. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Yeah. Just for fans. Only fans too. Only prisoners.